Okay, let's get. Hey, would anyone else like to do the intro tonight?
Rick?
What? Is this a bus on top of me, Emma? Yeah, we could do it.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
Okay,
No,
hey, listen, I'll tell you no. Rick, I'm gonna talk you through this.
So
what do we got?
Rick, we've actually got sign language to help you too. That I can go along with you. It's hey there, welcome to the Recycle Garage here in sunny Santa Cruz, California.
Unfortunately, Liza got it wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
You didn't say motorcycles and misfits.
Yeah, it's Ricky. Pay attention, darling.
Motorcycles and misfits.
It's hey there, welcome to Motorcycles and Misfits, coming to you from the Recycle Garage here in sunny Santa Cruz, California, USA.
Something like that.
Lord of mercy.
All right.
All right, you want to go
try
for it?
this.
All right.
Yeah, hang on. My thing's telling me my internet's unstable. Give me a moment.
Oh,
this is worse. When you spring it on people, it's bad. But when you give them a chance to think about it,
No, I'm not scared. I have no shame. I'm yeah.
Right.
Have you met me? I'm like naked in the different.
Let's do it.
I've been
All right.
censored.
Hey there, y'all. Welcome to Motorcycle and Misfits, coming to you guys from the Recycled Garage in beautiful Santa Cruz, California. Well, that's a lie. I'm in Auburn, but here we go.
Wait,
nailed it.
single motorcycle and misfits?
You said cycles.
I don't know.
I thought that was a great one. Well,
Can we try it again to see what happens?
Go for it. Number 2.
All right.
Go for it.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Motorcycles and Misfits from the beautiful, sunny, fantastical garage in Santa Cruz, California. I'm Rick, and let's see what we got going on tonight for everybody.
I'll let it pass. Recycle Garage in sunny.
God damn it.
And you know what, Rick? It gets worse from here. It's going to deteriorate now. Trust me.
First shot was probably the best.
I'm giving you points for enthusiasm, though.
Oh, I think it was brilliant.
I think that goes a long way.
What I lack in skill, I will make up for in enthusiasm. It gets me through life.
Hey, everyone. This is Liza. Thanks for joining us. I have big thumpers. Oh, wait. There we go. Now you can see the shirt. That's my big thumpers.
All right.
It says Big Thumpers Dual Sport M/C.
Yeah. Thank you to John for that. John Liotti gave that to me.
Cool.
I appreciate it because I got a big thumper. I actually have big thumpers. So there you go. Speaking of big thumpers, let's go to sunny Auburn. It's Rick.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Did we have fun this week?
Yeah. It didn't rain.
I know it. Yeah, I noticed the sunshine coming out. It was rad seeing people riding, working at a bike shop. I think I get a little bit of a finger on the pulse sometimes of what's going on, and we was busy. It was very cool to see.
Nice. And coming to us from her library in Marina, California, it's Miss Emma.
Her study.
Yes, darling, it's my study. It really is. No, and it's wonderful to be with you all tonight, and I just have love to give for everyone. Thank you.
Too bad you weren't here this afternoon because listener Josh came by and he was so happy to meet you and you weren't there. But good news, Emma. He's coming back next week and made an appointment to get his bike work done.
Oh, good-o.
Yeah, but he did drop off some dirt biking boots to add to our stash. So thanks, Josh.
Oh, radio.
Coming to us from his lovely garage, it's Bagel.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Ooh. Except for right now, we're trying to get near doctors. We're trying.
Are we?
Well, I am. I'm trying to get my parents near the doctors. We can't get the vaccine.
Oh, man.
We're trying.
But aren't they eligible?
Yeah, but they don't have any.
Oh, geez.
They haven't had any. And I will say though, this is something that's interesting, and actually, I'll just say, also coming to us from the from his truck, it's Naked Jim.
Hey, greetings and salutations from beautiful San Ardo, California.
Ooh.
Oh, where is that?
That's it. Yeah, I'm in my rig. In my rig.
He's got stories, but I wanted to share, and Jim, I think you'll appreciate this. We have a mutual friend who works in the health industry, and what I found out is she has been donating her time to do the vaccine shots because apparently, you know, they don't have enough people to do the vaccinations. They're not being paid for it. They are volunteering outside of their normal work hours to put on all the PPE and then to go out there and do vaccinations. So I wasn't aware that a lot of these people aren't being paid for it. They're just volunteering. So big thanks to all those healthcare professionals who are doing that. And we need more. We need more, but thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So Jim, you went on an
Yeah.
adventure today. You've been sending me some crazy videos that look like you were under attack.
Yeah, I haven't said.
You want to tell
Yeah,
everyone
it was
where
a lot
you
of fun. I
went?
am out in the middle of nowhere still, so
Yeah, where?
if I'm breaking up, let me know.
Yeah, tell everyone where you went.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I broke a little bit. Yeah, so I took another road trip down to the desert. Place I've been a few times before. It's about 45 minutes south of Barstow. So it's not high desert. It's about 2,000 feet, but it's just wide open BLM land. Mike and I and a couple other dudes went down there actually a few months ago. So I had planned this trip to go down, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago just to get out of town. And I was on the bubble. Actually, Mike potentially was going to come, and Breaking Away Matt also. We're also going to meet me down there. But between the cold weather, COVID, and the Super Bowl, they both bailed, so I went by myself. Well, I thought I was by myself. As it turns out, it was also the same weekend as King of the Hammers and King of the Motos.
Nice.
So if you don't know what these events are, check it out. So the big event is called King of the Hammers, and it's a moto event, or not? It's four wheel vehicles, and it's a modified kind of thing. They take these trucks. They're not trophy trucks, but they're kind of modified Ford Broncos that can do 100 miles an hour across the desert, but at the same time can do these crazy rock crawl competitions. And this area where they do this at is made for this kind of stuff. So, yeah, normally I go down there and it's fairly quiet, but this weekend there was a lot of activity, and I'm like, oh, okay, didn't really think it was going to be that busy. So anyway, rode one afternoon, next morning get up and start jamming across the desert. I was going to actually go to where the King of the Hammers kind of headquarters is, which is out in the middle of nowhere. But it was about 17 miles of open desert heading to the southeast to get to where all the action should be, right? And it's really varied terrain. And, it's a long way when you're by yourself in the middle of nowhere. But I was like, oh, I'll go. So when I started the day, I went across this little valley to head that direction to a big, huge rock outcropping. And as I kind of go past it, I go in there's lots of these kind of big ruts where roads are in the sand. And I looked, and there was a wooden stake with a red arrow on it. And you know what that was? I was sitting right in the middle of the race course. I was like, oh my goodness, I better move, because not only was it Saturday, well, it was Saturday, which is when it's the unlimited class races. So these are all Ford sponsored, crazy machines. And I was like, hey, well, I guess I better move. So I did. I went off the track about, I don't know, maybe 200 feet. And next thing you know, these things come rip-roaring by. And if you've ever seen like trophy trucks or things like that, it sounds like a freight train going by. And all these are engines, wheels, and suspension. And they go flying over these whoops and ruts and rocks at crazy speed. So of course I called Liza. Believe it or not, you get cell phone coverage out there. I don't know, what was the phone call like, Liza? It was kind of crazy.
You're just like, oh my God, this is really cool. And then there was just like, and then there was this like, like, what is happening? Like you were in a war zone. There were helicopters with sirens flying over him really low and fast.
Oh,
Wow.
We don't know if that was like an emergency helicopter or like a camera copter, so they can tell where they are by hearing them. I don't know. It was crazy.
So I think I figured it out. I was kind of right in the middle of the course, and just beyond me was a big rock section, like a Jeep crawl, slick rock or Rubicon kind of trail stuff. And I think those were a couple of the lead trucks, and it was a camera helicopter following them, and I think also signaling to that area because there were people over there that these two trucks were coming in hot, and I think to let the officials know that there might be people like me wandering out onto the race course. But it was nuts. Out of the middle of nowhere comes helicopters, and sirens. So anyway, dude kind of rolled up to me. He was nice. I made sure I was in a good spot. He said, "Nah, you were cool." So then after that, I rode, it was about 15 miles, 17 miles as the crow flies to get to where King of the Hammers was. And it took me, I think, about 40 miles to get there. So 40 miles on the odometer to get about 17. So it gives you an idea of the riding. And I will say the Honda did great. The 250, rode like a champ. And I will get also a shout out to Doug and his crew at Santa Clara Cycle. He had helped me out with some tires beforehand. I think you remember I mentioned I was running some Dunlop 605s because I got a pair of them for under $100, right? Which was awesome. But I knew it wasn't really going to cut it for out in the desert. So on short notice, I called up Doug, and he hooked me up with a Tractionator, Moto Z Tractionator rear, and a Moto Z Extreme Enduro front. So it's an ST designed for soft traction. And I tell you, man, tires make a difference. Those tires gobbled up everything. There were so many times where I thought for sure I was going to lose the front end, and it just bit in, dug in, and boom, made the turn. So thanks to Doug for hooking me up with those. But yeah, tires make a difference. So,
and
anyway,
can you describe? You were talking about how Jocelyn's training on the big bikes came in handy here.
Yeah, so we did that Jocelyn Snow training on the Africa Twins, which is an adventure class, but it translates to dirt riding perfectly. So I incorporate a lot of the stuff I learned from Jocelyn into desert riding because it works so well. Stuff like, weighting the pegs in different situations for sure. But the biggest thing, and it's a fun game to play, is just hauling ass through the desert, and you pick the line in front of you for kind of as far as you can see, 50 yards, 100 yards, 200 yards, and then rip through it as fast as you can. And the sand was great. They had snow, like 3 or 4 inches of snow a couple of weeks ago. So the quality of the sand, if you can imagine, if you've ever been where it snows, right, and it gets that hard, crisp layer on the top, and then it's super soft underneath, that's what it was like. So it was super grippy. It's like when you stop, like you'd be ripping, felt like it was really firm. And then when you stop, you get off. And when you put your foot, your side stand down, you thought it would be firm, and it would go down like 6 inches. But it made for great riding. Like I said, super grippy. So anyway, forgot where I left off. So anyway, rode across the desert, made it to Hammertown, they call it, which is where all this stuff goes down. So they have King of the Hammers, which is 4 wheels. King of the Motos is 2 wheels. And I don't know, Liza, you can describe what that's all about if you want. It looks like the most horrible dirt bike race ever.
Yeah.
pure hell.
I mean, it's at moments kind of like Erzberg, where sometimes it's flat out, and then sometimes you're got giant rocky hills that everyone's like flipping their bikes on and trying to all get up there. It's definitely a hard enduro race. And Jim, you said there was a ton of people there.
Oh yeah, so I'm kind of meandering through the desert, trying to navigate my way over there. Eventually get there. I came in from the north, which is the opposite side, so I kind of came in the back entrance. all of a sudden you come around a bend, you look in this little valley, and I'm telling you, you're in the middle of nowhere, and there are thousands of people, thousands, and it was like Mad Max.
Jeez.
There are the most insane four-wheel drive cars and motorcycles and two-strokes, and people are going nuts. I was like, holy cow, you talk about like moto enthusiasts. But it was like a scene from Mad Max. It was just engines and noise and two-strokes and really wild. So I went in, I checked it out, and I immediately turned around and left because it was just a little much for me. But huge event, really cool.
It's so funny that you just happened upon it.
I literally just next thing, like when I saw that red arrow in the middle of those big giant ruts, I'm like, I'm about to get killed.
Oh man.
So
and
anyway.
just to recap, if anyone does follow King of the Motos, first place was Tristan Hart, second place Colton Hawker, and then third place our friend Cody Webb. He's still out there killing it, man.
Yeah,
Cody's
Nice.
crushing it.
Yeah. So, Jim, are you a better rider now?
yeah, I am. It's I'm not. I still wouldn't say I'm a good rider because when you're out there, you see people that are good riders. Because when I'm out, you're seeing guys that are doing trials and stuff, and these guys on the two strokes that can really haul ass, or the beefy four, the beefy 450s that rip.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm getting a lot faster and a lot smoother, and that was a lot of the fun. Is when you get on that kind of packed sand, there's a lot of scrub bushes, so it's like glade skiing, really. You haul ass, and you get that feeling once you get up to speed where you're floating on snow almost, and you're turning with your hips and you're looking way ahead. It's great, and almost every single time it abruptly ends with some holy moly surprise that you totally did not expect.
Steering with your feet is a very weird concept. And I've only successfully done it like a couple times where I'm like, oh, I get it. But it's weird to switch into that and to trust, but it's just a whole nother level of input. I mean, Rick, I'm sure you would get it. It's the same thing in the Harley world as steering with your balls.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah,
It's using the down south to do it. Yeah, I'm with you. It's being a power bottom, right?
Power bottom. But I think that's the most fun I have out there.
And are you feeling that?
It's just going faster than the scrub bushes.
Are you feeling that the 250 is still enough?
For the riding that I'm doing, yeah. I mean, I worked the crap out of that bike, and it definitely earned an oil change after this weekend. But literally, I did 74 miles one day when I rode to Hammertown and back. That's 74 miles of like hauling my butt. I'm 205. I also probably carry 20 pounds of kit with me because I got tools and tubes and all that, and a bunch of water. And the only thing I might do is put in heavier clutch springs. The stock bike came with a jetter spring, which was terrible. So pulled that out, but heavier clutch springs, but the bike pulled great the entire time. The other thing I'll mention is I upgraded the suspension, Doug and those guys at Santa Clara upgraded it with Race Tech, and that made a huge difference too, because when you start going faster in the desert, and this is how you see those, like the pro guys really get hurt. By the time you see something you weren't expecting it, it's just like in the street, you're on top of it, but it can be something like a 4-foot drop off, or usually it's a drop off or a hole, and it happened one time. Usually it's where like a road cuts through. So you're ripping, you don't see it till last minute because the light can get so flat. And then when you see it, you can't brake. So this happens one time, and I saw it was a big one. So I tried to brake, mistake, and it dropped straight down, and not only down to the road, but a hole in front of the road. So completely crushed the front end, completely compressed the front end. I thought I was going to break my wrists and go flying. And lo and behold, the bike popped right out. Thank God. But dirt bikes are amazing. But yeah, if you're going to upgrade something, suspension goes a long way. But that's
Nice.
the trade-off is like with all motorcycle riding, the better you get, I think the faster you go. But I think that's the rush we all get, is those oh shit moments,
Well, I'm so glad you're having fun doing that, and I appreciate you calling in from the truck to give us a report. And I did appreciate too that you did send me one of your "I'm safe" messages. I always appreciate when you send me that.
I got to send one of those, every trip just to let you know. But yeah, the Garmin in reach. I tell you, I have a lot of faith in that thing.
That is nice. Well, Jim, we have our guest about to come on. Did you want to stay on, or are you going to bounce?
I tell you what, let me bounce because I got to drive a little bit. I'm coming into some traffic, so it might be best.
Thanks for the report.
All right.
I'll see you soon.
Take care.
All right.
All right, drive safe, Jim.
All right. Yep. See y'all soon.
Later.
So, like I said, our guest is about to come on, and we're going to play a fun game with him. But until he comes on, I thought we could take a few minutes, Emma, for you to yell at me.
Oh.
For you to yell at me for the thing that I knew you were going to yell at me about. I have an issue with the battery on the CX500 Turbo.
Yes.
That I just bought in August. I've only ridden the bike twice, and now the battery is down to like 6 volts. It won't take a charge. It won't, even the charger wouldn't recognize it. So I had to run my maintenance mode on it for 24 hours. I could get it up to 11 volts, but it's just not getting there. And this is a brand new battery. And I knew when Emma found out that I would be in trouble. You want to tell me why I'm in trouble, Emma?
Is there a battery
I can guess
tester on that bike?
I can guess why.
No.
Angling?
No.
Let me guess. It's not a Yuasa.
Bingo.
Well, no, and I mean, look here, Liza. I'm not going to yell at you or anybody else. All I can do is draw on my own experience that really it's gotten to the stage where it's Yuasa and the rest of them. And they're cheap, they're expensive, they're flashy, they're cheap looking.
Sure.
But it's Yuasa and the rest of them. And it wasn't a cheap battery, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was around $100.
And it was bought from a well-known retailer.
Yeah, I can say it's Batteries Plus. So they're doing a test on it, and it has a 2-year warranty. So there is that. They're going to do a test, and if they find that it is bad, that I'll get a new one. But it is just frustrating, and I could just hear Emma's voice saying, "Should have gotten a Yuasa."
Should have had a V8.
But Emma, can you quickly explain, because you were explaining to me what the difference is?
Okay, so a battery is based on a chemical reaction, and a chemical reaction between an acid solution and lead, and it forms a chemical reaction, and that produces voltage. And if you were to open a battery, there are 6 sections in a battery. Each section produces, a little over 2 volts, up to about 3 volts. And what you'll find is there are plates with mats in between, fiberglass matting, and then, acid, or in some cases gel, but mostly acid. Now, if you cut open a Yuasa battery, the plates go like 7/8 of the way up. If you cut open one of the cheaper batteries, the plates, which are the expensive part, only go about 2/3 of the way up. And this is really the death knell for the battery, because not only are you trying to do the same with less, that free space above the plates, which is basically nothing, is sufficient when the battery's doing its thing and it's charging and discharging. There's all kinds of oxidation going on up there, and it gets back into the plates and it sulfates the plates, and that's what kills your battery. So you've really got a trifecta. It's like opening a very, very expensive box of shoes that says Manolo Blahnik or Jimmy Choo on the box, and they're Payless inside. That's basically, a cheaper battery. And the Yuasa batteries in America aren't even actually made by Yuasa. They're made by Exide to a very stringent UASA specification. And really, they're the best you can buy. And I'll tell you what, I found that they're actually, I used to say on this show right up until a couple of months ago, oh, they're twice the money, but they're twice the battery. But I found now they're the same price or perhaps even less than a good quality replacement or a good quality price replacement like yours. In fact, I would bet a genuine UASA battery for your bike is probably $20 to $25 cheaper than your Batteries Plus one. The only thing is you're going to have to wait. You'll have to wait.
Thing. I wanted a battery that day because I was ready to test the bike, and they haven't.
But that's okay, you know.
So, well, we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, it should be under warranty. I'll get a new one. And
why didn't you do a shameless plug and tell people you're selling it?
I'm going to be selling the CX500 Turbo. It is true.
With a new battery.
Oh yeah. Yes, but I'm trying to get it sorted first so that it's good to go.
So. Let me tell you something about this bike. You want 1980s. You want Don Johnson written in blue and pink neon, wearing a suit with a T-shirt underneath and loafers. You want Taylor Dane. You want Madonna in her tutu.
Underwear.
There's no better way of experiencing the 80s. It's Saved by the Bell in motorcycle form. It's a very nostalgic bike.
And here's the deal. If anyone is interested in the CX500 Turbo, Emma, you kind of appraised it around $5,000, right?
I think it's look, these bikes are all across the board. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a brave soul that takes on a turbocharged, fuel injected, very complex 40-year-old bike. I've seen them change hands for 10 to 15,000. I've also seen them change hands for a couple of grand.
Yeah.
And it's all down to condition. I think yours is a $5,000 bike all the way.
And so the deal I'm offering, if anyone is interested, $5,000 for the bike, and I will give you a $1,000 credit of Emma's mechanic fees to fix anything you want on it to make it a $6,000 bike. I figure that's a win-win.
And that $1,000 will include the new owner's choice of either a Give It the Bean sticker, which is good for 10 horsepower, or an Emma's Army sticker, which is potentially good for 15.
And to clarify, it is a good running bike.
Oh, yeah.
And I rebuilt the whole fuel system, the pump and filter and everything. When I say $1,000, because I would love to see this as a candidate for a full resto to be a $10,000 bike. So that's why I'm giving $1,000 credit for Emma's restoration charges, not because it needs something fixed. It appears that the engine and the brakes were all rebuilt prior to me. Yeah. So it's really more about cosmetics and making it closer to being a show bike or increasing the value. Anyway.
And truthfully, if you were to show up at any local show on that bike as it is, you're going to go home with something.
Every 75-year-old man is going to come talk to you.
Yeah, possibly a 75-year-old man.
Exactly.
Does it have rear pegs?
So I want to get to our guest tonight, and I've got something special planned that he doesn't know about. So I'm going to tell him now. I'm going to first say, hey, Axe, how you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Great. How's everybody doing on that end?
Doing good.
All right.
So here's the thing. And one of the things that's great about your one name, Axe, it's very simple.
Easy to spell.
Easy to spell.
Is that AXE, darling? Is that
yes.
It is.
Yes,
it is.
Technically, there's two ways.
And I know you're serious because I'm looking at your mic. So you're a serious cat. So okay, very good.
Yeah.
So Axe, I want to play a little game with the Misfits. So they don't know who you are,
okay,
or what you've done, but you've done something extraordinary on two wheels.
Thank you.
And I want to play 20 questions with the Misfits and see if they can figure it out.
All
So
right.
they're going to go one at a time. We'll go Rick, Emma, Bagel, Rick, Emma, Bagel.
Hey, I want to be first.
Okay. Emma, Rick, Bagel, Emma, Rick, Bagel.
No, let Rick go first.
Oh,
darling.
Jesus.
No, I want Emma to be first.
Bagel, you're the last guy standing.
That's all
Okay,
right.
we're going to go Bagel, Rick, Emma, Bagel, Rick, Emma. And yes or no questions only, please. And see if you can figure out what he has accomplished on two wheels.
All right.
And I know this is hard because we've had so many people who've done so many things, but I'm confident in you guys. So let's start with Bagel, your first yes or no question. I'm going to keep count. Go ahead.
All right. My question is, have you raced motorcycles professionally?
No.
Good question.
All right.
Ooh, that's a no. All right, Rick.
Is this something a record of sorts?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
Damn it, now what?
What kind of record?
So let me see. Darling, have you considered a career in modeling? Because you're devilishly handsome.
That's a long
Wait,
story.
is that your yes or no question?
The short answer is yes, and it's an embarrassing years ago. I won't even go there.
Okay, I'm counting that as your question, Emma.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
That's fine, darling.
Sacrificial, I like it.
All right,
All
Bagel.
right. The record that you hold, is it a land speed record?
Good question.
Can you define land speed in your terms? Because I've heard different definitions.
Okay. Then
I'm going to say the answer is no because I know Bagel is
Okay.
referring to like Bonneville.
Bonneville.
Or
That's what I was.
records
Yeah,
that we're used to. It is not that.
correct. That's a no.
Okay, Rick.
Are you the first person to achieve this accolade, or did you whoop someone's ass that did it
Yes or no
before you?
questions, please.
Oh.
Just the first part.
Well,
Yeah,
there's the first part. Is this something that was a new record that you had set, or a previous? No, new record that you set. Yes, no.
It'd be a no. It was. No, I was not
Just
the
no.
first
Just-
one.
Yes,
Yeah.
no.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
No.
All right.
All right,
Okay.
Emma.
Axe, are
Yes.
you in the motorcycle industry?
Ooh, good question.
Currently, no. Well, I
you-
have to say no. I think. Right?
Okay.
Okay,
Yes or
no's good.
All right, Bagel.
Okay. The record that you hold, is it a distance record for motorcycle riding?
Define distance riding.
Um,
I mean, like Danielle Lynn, who rode the most miles in 1 year.
Either most miles in 1 year, most miles in one trip.
You need to be more specific with your question, please.
Okay. How can I be more specific about that? Does the record you hold, does it involve the Iron Butt Association?
Good question.
Yes.
Yeah. Say yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
Rick.
All right. So we're getting close. We're tiptoeing to this. I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You're getting it. And you're,
No,
you're
we're
at
crawling
8.
drunkenly in the gutter towards it, darling.
It's an
You-
iron butt flavored accolade. and is this related to a time constraint that you have earned?
I would say yes.
good
Okay.
question. Yeah.
Ah,
All right.
very good. So, could you have done what you did on a small bike
Define small.
Yeah, that's a
under 250?
you could, but so I guess the technical answer is yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
Yeah. Let's just go with yes.
No,
yes,
okay.
Unlikely, but yes.
yeah.
Just like you wouldn't do an iron butt on a small bike, it's less likely, except for Bagel.
Yep.
So, okay.
I was thinking of Bagel when I asked the question, darling.
Yes. Okay. The record that you set, was this set in the United States?
Yes.
Good question.
All right.
All right, Rick.
It's getting hard.
Hey, don't talk to us about your personal problems, Ricky.
Hey now.
I
Whoa,
need a
whoa.
question, please.
Man, we got time distance iron butt. Was this something that was open to general public, or was this no? Can't say that. Yes or no? Is this something that anybody could have stepped up to the plate and done?
Yes.
It's not like a specialized form of thing and or stuff.
Anyone can
Nope.
do it.
Okay. Fuck.
All right, Emma.
Was your record, so we've established, and I'm just vacillating before the big question. You have a record. You're not in the motorcycle industry. You obviously achieved your record riding a motorcycle.
Correct.
Was your record based on a point A to a point B?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Very good. All right,
All right.
Bagel.
We're getting there, Bagel.
Getting
All
there.
right. The ride, was the ride longer than 10,000 miles?
No.
Okay.
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 All right, you ready, Rick? You got this?
Can I ask the team a question first for a metric for the next part of my question?
Sure, you can ask the team.
So 10,000 miles, that's a fuckload of miles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
How many miles is it coast to coast? Like if you just, the
Sure.
average or whatever.
3,000-ish, maybe a little more, a little less, depending on where you're going.
All right. Was this something that exceeded 3,000 miles?
No.
Emma?
Was this a point-to-point route following a slightly less conventional path?
Yes. If I understand you right, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Bagel, you guys got 5 questions left.
Okay. Did you set a record for the 50cc?
Hold on.
The 50cc is the coast to coast ride in 50 hours.
Yeah. Actually, yes. That is true. Yep.
I'm going to say that you got it,
Really?
Bagel.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
The 50cc is the official iron butt, and this is, I'd say, one of the most common routes taken on the 50cc, which to get that accomplishment, you have to go coast to coast, usually ocean to ocean in under 50 hours. And yeah, Axe, you want to tell everyone exactly what you did?
Yeah. So I went from the San Diego Beach, Dog Beach, if you're familiar with that area. And I went from there to Jacksonville Beach in 33 hours and 10 minutes. It comes to about 2,408.1 miles, if I remember right.
Wow.
And
yeah.
so it's in the question I think Emma had about the less conventional route or whatever. A lot of times when people do cannonballs,
Right.
it's New York to LA, right?
Yes.
But I found out when I was at the San Diego BMW dealership, that's where I shipped the bike and all my equipment to mount to the bike before the ride. And I said, man, I really appreciate what you guys are doing, helping me. They gave me a bay out there in the shop to do the mods. And the guy said, here's why. And he shows me a picture on the wall. The co-owner, Gary Orr of the BMW dealership, had previously done it on a BMW, cruiser bike, a big tour bike.
Mhm.
He had a trailer behind him. They made for him a 75-gallon trailer for fuel. He never put a foot down from San Diego. He was 150 miles from Jacksonville Beach. He went by a cop that had somebody pulled over, and the cop pulled him over, not because he was going like hell, but he had a flickering taillight on the trailer they made. And that's why they stopped him. And I guess he got so mad, he ended up just driving up north after that or something. But that was a 36-hour to get within 150 miles. So he was the closest to a coast-to-coast record data point. There was a guy was it the 82 Cannonball that they set with a Ferrari? That was, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was like 44 hours from New York to LA. And then, of course, what's his name? Cannonball, whatever, years ago.
Carl Reese.
Who was it?
Carl Reese.
The guy, the Cannonball guy, the original one way back when? Or are you talking about?
No. I'm talking about
in 82.
Carl Reese has the record going from LA to New York.
I think the last Cannonball was won by Jaguar XJS.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. I remember, I don't watch a great deal of television, but I occasionally dip into Gas Monkey Garage.
Yeah.
And they found it quite recently in a scrapyard a couple of years ago in Texas.
Wow.
And it was, one of the drivers was a racing driver. And it wasn't Parnelli Jones, but it was somebody of that ilk.
Okay.
And then the other driver was a celebrity, and it was a black V12 Jaguar.
Oh, really?
And, V12 Jags are just great at, you wind them up to 120 and they'll stay there all day, as long as you keep putting fuel in it. And I think that may have been the last winner of it.
Cannonball, yeah.
But I tell you what, 33 hours.
Yeah.
What was your average speed, Axe?
The average, it's frustrating. I was averaging well over 80 in the first part of it. And what really killed me was the South in general. The radar detector was lighting up like a Christmas tree from Houston all the way to
10?
basically, on 10. Yeah. Up until basically getting into Florida again. And, I just, the thing you have to start analyzing is, if I get pulled over, it's going to cost me minimum half hour, if not jail time. And so I had 2 GoPros. I had one on the dash recording miles and speeds and that, and I had one on my chest. And I thought that way, if I get pulled over, I'll have to pull the chip out of the dash cam, snap it to destroy the evidence. I was doing 165 back there, and rely on the chest cam for the movie project. So,
and make no mistake here. It's the police do not take a romantic view of coast to coast racing.
No,
they would throw you in jail and chuck away the key in a heartbeat.
And it would have looked pretty bad because, depending on if you're in California or Florida, I had Texas plates, right? I had a spare 5-gallon fuel tank on the back of the tail section. I had a military grade FLIR thermal vision system with the screen on the tank, and then a radar detector Bluetooth to the helmet, everything down to the condom catheter. I mean, it was Red Bull and Gatorade and the Camelback, and off I go.
Oh my God.
Well, let's cover some of the basics, because of course, to do a record like this, you would have to have an appropriate motorcycle that I'm sure is comfortable, can hold lots of gas. So tell us what appropriate motorcycle you chose for this record.
Well, the first trick actually was choosing the vehicle, because I read about Alex Roy's record and Rawlings and stuff, and I thought, I just can't compete in an area where they have pilots, spotter planes and stuff, right? So I thought, I'm a bike guy. I need to do bike. So I looked, and I had basically my options were the chopper I had, which I love that chopper, but it's probably not the primary choice for that. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Crappy mileage, horrible suspension, you name it, right? But it looks cool. And then I had an old Aprilia Malay. What I ended up choosing was the 2010 BMW S1000RR. So it was not on a big comfy cruiser. This was on a crotch rocket, balled up like a monkey on a football for 33 hours straight,
Yeah.
Oh, so you were on the RR. Oh my God.
RR.
Yep.
Okay. Now, go ahead, Bagel.
just make a quick point. I looked up the driving directions from San Diego to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Normal driving without stops is 32 hours.
Is it really?
And you did it in 33.
3310, yeah. And
Yeah.
I think the thing, for me on a bike that makes it tough is the gas stops are what kill you.
Right.
Even with a second tank,
Yeah.
I was averaging 350 miles between fuel stops. And, you got to be careful because if you get stranded out somewhere, you're screwed, right?
Right.
But they cost you. But then that's something, 32 hours is what it says, huh?
Yeah, but you need to factor in time to you didn't need to use the restroom that much, but
No sleep.
You did no sleep at all for 33
no sleep.
hours? Holy
I
crap.
did it straight. It was delusional.
So
Well-
was it gas? I'm sorry, to the gas you brought with you? What was your situation for that? What helped you out there?
I had the primary tank, of course, is like 4 3/4 gallon or whatever. I geared it so it would do 108 in first gear. So I had it geared tall, right?
Mile, right?
Yeah, I was getting to the point where I was almost, worried I would have enough torque to take off with it, And then I had a 5-gallon Coyote tank, I think it was called, that I had mounted to the back, and I had it jacked up enough that I could gravity feed up into the primary tank. So I'd run out in the main tank, and then I had a valve and hose all set up. I just flipped the fuel valve, let it run in, and then take off from there. So I get about 350 for a stop.
So let's also talk about, to do something of this ilk, you'd have to have a really good team out there helping you, right?
One guy. One guy to call and say, hey, take that spreadsheet out that I calculated out for you. I made a spreadsheet for my buddy and just said, okay, I'm at this point. My gas light came on. What's that tell you? And he would tell me, okay, you're going to be stopping for gas in this town, or, oh, shoot, I'm between 2 spots. That's it.
Awesome.
So basically Siri.
Yeah, effectively. Exactly.
He had a name, Liza.
Yeah, Eric, not Siri, Eric.
So, Axe, when did you do this wonderful feat? Why haven't we heard about it?
Well, so I did it in April of 2014.
Right.
And I waited the 1-year statute of limitations clearance to publish the book in April of 2015.
That was my question. Thank you.
Yep. Yep. And so I published the book in April of 2015. And it was a challenging time. I'd actually lost my fiance in late 2014. And so I didn't spend, quite the effort of getting the book and the word out and everything that I would have liked to have. But eventually, a couple of years later, I was like, okay, let me take this footage together and make a movie. This is a cool story, right? And I thought, I feel like what the Alex Roy movie's missing is music. What does every good movie have, right? I'm a horrible singer. I'm a mediocre guitarist at best, but I got a cool microphone though. And so I decided to write and record a soundtrack for the movie before I made the movie. So I wrote and recorded 8 original songs. Very happy with the lyrics, with the music, the guitars. The singing's awful, but it kind of blends into the background. So I made the soundtrack, and then I finally buckled down and finished the movie. I did all the editing. I hired out the sound mixing, did the color correction, put it all together. And I was able to take all this real footage that I'd had for, this 2-3 years period of my life and make it into a movie, which just kind of worked out well because you wish you could go back and like, oh, if I had a better footage of this event or that event, but you got to, if you want it to be genuine, which I much take a lot of pride in being real with this stuff, right? Like it's a documentary, it's my life. And so it was very important to me to use real footage and not go recreate something and make it not real.
So I got a question. What was the harder task? Actually making the record, riding cross country, or editing the film?
Editing the film was awful. There's an old saying about, I'll borrow Andrew Dice Clay, editing a film is like jerking off with a cheese grater. It's slightly amusing but mostly painful.
Ouch.
And it's funny, the reason Liza asked that question, I mean, the whole Misfits and Recycle Garage, we kind of run on media.
Yeah.
And Liza's least favorite job in the world, which I truly believe that actually gouging her out her own eyeballs with a spoon would be ahead of it, is editing.
Editing sucks.
And I
It does.
refuse to get involved. I mean, I play the complete dunce card, and I couldn't possibly I couldn't do anything that complicated.
Emma, I'd like to make a correction. No, I actually love editing. I really do. It's just even editing a small video like the one that I released earlier this week takes a lot of time.
Forever.
Right.
It really does.
It takes a lot of time to do it. It's a time issue. It's a patience issue. It's a learning as you go issue. And then by the time you get to the end, you've learned enough that you want to go back and start over and fix some of the things you now know
you've learned
better. And it's like this endless loop. I love it. I enjoy it, but it is very time consuming.
It is. Movie, I can imagine.
Yeah, the movie, because you think it's 82 minutes of, you may have a 15-minute film piece that you're using literally 3 or 4 seconds of it. Sure. And when it's that personal, because this is like the highest and lowest of my life in this 1 year period, right? It is such a personal share that there's no way I could have hired out the editing, because nobody was going to make it the story that I wanted it to say, right? So that means it's twice as hard, because it's not just a job I'm getting a paycheck for. It's your life on film, and you want it to be as perfect as you can.
No, you're pumped. It's like picking your favorite kid, but you do get to pick your favorite kid. You got to review it all and go, no, that part was awesome. That's going in.
Emma, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, I've no. There's a couple of things I want to say. Do you have a background in media, Axe?
Believe it or not, I don't. I've done public speaking in military contracts right off the bat out of college.
Right.
So I'm very used to public speaking, and I wrote my first book after having open heart surgery when I was 34, and I realized a year later how much better my life was after learning to appreciate life and make the most of it and everything. And so I started doing some motivational talks, went back and talked to the old high school, the old college. So just, like if a few kids learn something that I had to learn the hard way, then why not share that, So I've done a lot of public speaking and that kind of thing, but I have no real background. It's just all brute force.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Mechanical? Bovine?
Engineer?
No.
Bovine. Yeah, it's bovine. It's hybrid.
Ooh.
Yep, it's a hybrid. Yep, I've got
a valve, y'all.
I do. And I have about 12 years on this one come November, which they told me I'd be lucky to get 10.
Yeah,
so,
they last like 10. The mechanical ones last a lot longer. My dad has one.
But you have to take blood thinners, and I like tattoos, and so blood thinning didn't appeal to me. And so they gave me a 10-year one, and it's been 12. Last year I had 4 procedures, they found an 8mm hole in my heart a year ago. And I mean, I could feel something was wrong. So I had first I had to repair the hole, then the rhythm's all jacked up, and they had to do a bunch of stuff with that. So I ended up with a hernia repair late last year. I ended up driving to Florida for stem cell treatments. And so
wait, how long did it take you to get there?
I made it from my door in Texas to Daytona Beach, which was about 1,160 miles. I spent a day in the chair getting stem cells, and when I got back home, it was 53 hours round trip, I think.
Holy crap.
Good Lord.
So it seems like having heart issues kind of really may have shaped your whole outlook on life and really going at it. I mean, and it kind of sums up. We haven't said what the title of your book and your film is. No limits, no regrets.
Exactly.
And when you learn more about your story, about your heart, and about your fiance, you go, oh, maybe he's not crazy. Maybe it's
relative. It's a relative term.
Just that you have an outlook on life different than a lot of other people.
Very much so.
Going for it.
Commonly mistaken for crazy.
Commonly mistaken for crazy.
That's what they said about Son of Sam, right?
Yeah, but listening to you talk about your journey and listening to you talk about putting together the documentary afterwards, the takeaway I get from it, it's a deeply personal journey.
Very
Both the actual journey itself, and the making of the documentary afterwards. And, you know, it's confession time a little bit. Liza and me talked a little bit before you came on, not about your achievement, because she wanted to keep that a secret, but actually the things that have happened in your life. And you've experienced a great many highs and some towering achievements, but there's been some quite tragic events there as well. And it's obviously, it shaped you a great deal. I mean, you know, it's nature and nurture, isn't it? And we are who we are, but our experiences define and shape us. And I think that's particularly true in your case.
Absolutely. I think there's always an element of the bottle cap doesn't far fall from the whiskey bottle, right? And I can remember being in Texas and my dad's youngest brother was visiting, and at that time I'd kind of feet kicked up on the Harley, drinking Night Train because it was in the Guns N' Roses album Appetite, and playing Knocking on Heaven's Door on my guitar, which a GNR song. And my uncle looks at me and he said, "That is creepy." He said, "I can remember living with your old man in Lauderdale and his feet kicked up on his Harley. It was an old Sportster, and strumming his guitar to Bob Dylan, drinking Zappa wine, so I think there was always that. My father's side is somewhat of a destructive side, right? Like, we lost 3 of my generation before any of his, all 3 in drunk driving wrecks. And it was one of these things that was just, I was next in line. It was the firstborn son of every family. And it's, when you grow up that way, it's a strange thing because you feel a fear, like it's cursed, you're going to end up being that next one. Right. And you want to be smarter and you want to learn from it. And then you start doing things like, I flew over the hood of a car, on my moped when I was 15. And you're like, well, it didn't hurt so bad. I made it through that. And then you start doing more stupid things and you keep surviving them. And, I bounced off airbags twice in cars from totaling them. I wrecked bikes multiple times, almost drowned in a river in Illinois. I mean, you name it, right? And every time it happens, humans respond with either, wow, I need to be careful and appreciate what I have. Or there's the people more like me that are like, well, hell, I made it through that. Try again, right. I mean, I center
call that a wreck.
Exactly.
My mind goes back to an interview we did a few years ago with a delightful English lady called Elspeth Beard. And Elspeth was the first woman to circumnavigate the globe on a motorcycle solo.
Okay. Yeah.
Very interesting lady. And she did the ride because her then boyfriend broke her heart and broke up with her. So she'll be like, I'll show you. Mm-hmm. However, since then, this was back in 82, and she has had a hugely successful career in architecture, and she's very courageous in her choices, because having done that, she's like, hell, if I can ride around the world solo on a motorcycle, I can do anything.
Everything else is cake.
Yeah.
Everything else is cake.
It is.
And that was a defining thing. So her achievement was born out of tragedy. And I know for you, the tragedy came very soon after your journey.
Right.
But it's defined how you've kind of approached the memory of it and how you've quantified it now.
Yeah, very much so. And if when you watch the movie at the end of it, I tried to kind of capture that in a way that, I used to look at things kind of this way, and now I've sort of realized maybe it's a little bit darker than that. But you don't want to end a movie on a dark note. So then I kind of included and here's all the fun stuff I've done since then. Right. So it's really, because I felt like in the book, I hadn't lost her yet. Right. So it wasn't part of the book.
Can we actually tell our listeners, because they don't know what happened?
Yeah.
And I want to tread very carefully here, because we have yet to have a guest actually, break down and, have an episode on the show. And I wouldn't even want to insinuate that that's going to happen. But if you're comfortable talking about it, please do, because it's part of who you are.
It really is. It's, like I said, when I did the ride in April of 14, she'd had a seizure in like December, and they said it's this weird parasite that she must have got from eating uncooked meat in Costa Rica.
Oh no.
Is what they said. Now, when we look at the brain scan, it looked like, I mean, Havarti cheese, right? It was just riddled. And so I did the ride. She couldn't drive yet, so her sister came and drove her around while I was out of town and stuff. And, we thought, great, things are going to be okay. But then come July, she had an episode, and we took her in, and they did say, well, it was cancer. And we asked, like, well, why didn't you say cancer back in December or January range? And they said, because it's physically impossible for a human to be alive if that had been cancer. There's no way for her to be alive, let alone functional like she was and talking to us. So, and she was really one of the most, I mean, just a golden human, as far as like the most positive, just wants everybody to be happy, just a great person. Right. And so I think that also is sort of an inspiration too, that if you can take these things that life throws at you and you can help someone else be better, or, just make the most of it. But I don't think she would have lived any differently, knowing her life was limited, because she made the most out of her life. And, and I met her about the time my heart was having issues and stuff. So but it's the worst thing I can imagine. I divorced an ex-wife, and, there's nothing wrong with getting rid of someone rotten in your life, but losing someone good is
Right.
damn tough.
Yeah. But it makes for an amazing story, because the best stories, the world's best fiction has great triumphs, great tragedies,
Yeah.
but the best ones always tend to end on a journey of redemption.
Yeah.
For yourself. And I think, I've yet to see your documentary, and I'm going to be absolutely riveted to it. But I suspect that's kind of where you're heading. I mean, it's a documentary of triumph, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Well, and Emma, I wanted to jump in and if somebody wants to see this or to buy your book, do your plug. Where can they see the film?
So most people nowadays just watch it digitally, right? So it's on Amazon. You just look for No Limits, No Regrets, the shameless self-plug poster in the background there. And so it's on Amazon. It's in HD. Some of the footage is a little bit SD, but most of it's HD. It is professionally done. It's all color corrected. It's, paid somebody to do the soundtrack and all that for it, or mixing. If you like DVDs or Blu-rays, you can also go to my website, which is www.ychrome.com, ychrome.com.
Why the letter, not the word?
Like the letter Y. Yep. Chrome.
Mm-hmm.
And you can buy the discs on there. And then I've got some parts off the actual bike. Like I've done upgrades. So I've sold a few parts that were part of the actual bike when it made the cross-country trip, just for, people like us that kind of like stuff like that. I sent, what was it? The top panel that had my time, I airbrushed on it to Gary Orr, who had the 36-hour record before me, and so he's got it displayed in their San Diego shop and stuff.
Nice.
So here's a question. Most people, once they've done something like this, they're always thinking, what's next? Is there a what's next?
Yeah, I've given thought to that, and I've been somewhat distracted with the whole movie and book and soundtrack project over the last few years, of course. And my motorcycle, unfortunately, got held hostage by somebody that chose to call themselves a mechanic, and that was misleading. And so I didn't have the bike for a while. Now I have it back. I've got it running. And so the first thing I'm going to do is in a few weeks, actually about a month and a half from now, I've got the Texas Mile in Texas here again, where it's 1 mile of runway. And you just do a blast from 0 to as fast as you can in a mile. My highest I've hit so far was 187. So I want to at least break 190, I hope, this time.
You might want to re-gear it.
Yeah,
exactly. That's the thing is, you're literally running out of RPM sometimes. You got to watch your gears and shift points so careful on that thing. And so I want to do that. And there's other things like Superbike School. I've done the California Superbike School a couple times. Just the rides here in the hill country to rip out there. I want to ride to Florida again. I think I might take my 911 out to Atlanta for the Porsche school.
Have you thought of going in the other direction?
Going from east to west, or you mean just for like
Yeah.
a trip in general?
It's really nice out here.
Yeah, I know. San Diego is nice. I can surf out there.
When it's not burning or blowing or falling off the cliff or shaking, it's really nice.
Exactly.
I can
Parts of the
tell you.
city.
I can tell you what you haven't done, Axe, which should
What's
be
that?
on your to-go list. Is come and visit the Misfits.
So where are you guys located?
Santa Cruz, California.
Santa Cruz. Oh, you're in Santa Cruz. You mentioned the Santa Cruz
Yeah.
Film Festival. Okay.
Yep.
Yep. And I like going to San Diego and surfing out there. That's for sure. The thing that I always have to watch when I go out there is you're the one state I cannot legally carry my firearm in. So I always have
Nope.
to
Yeah.
remember that when I'm coming.
But you can lane split.
Yeah,
You can lane split.
exactly. Leaving there, that was amazing, actually.
Yeah.
If I had one thing I could do in my life, though, like a true wish, it would be either Pikes Peak. I think would be a blast. And I
Oh,
think
yes.
Yes.
I rode that last summer.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Well, not race it. We rode up it.
But rode
I almost got killed by a marmot.
what?
A marmot.
What's that? I don't even know what a marmot is.
Yeah. It
A
looks, it's a large
Oh.
rodent, like a woodchuck looking thing.
That's what that thing was that I saw in the Rockies. I saw
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
you're
the
describing.
golden marmot.
Istria?
And there's video on our YouTube page, but Jim and I
Okay.
were riding and we were above the tree line.
Yeah.
Just way up at the top. So it's just a road and a cliff and a wall. Just that's
Yeah.
all it is.
And a
Just
marmot.
And the
just
marmot.
bopping along. Jim goes by, and then a marmot decided to run across the road, but not in front of me, at me. He was like trying
Attack
to
marmot.
get me. And
Get the front end up.
I swerved because he was coming at my leg. And I swerved. And for a moment, I was pointing off the side of the road,
Oh, geez.
but I got it back
That's
on. And yeah,
And apparently he had giant teeth with blood dripping off
killer
them.
marmot.
A
Yes.
murderous look in his
Fangs.
eye. Yeah.
Hatchet.
It's
He had a hatchet.
Blood
Well,
red
and then-
eyes.
Chainsaw.
and like that wasn't bad enough. We got to the top and we were in a hailstorm.
Oh,
that doesn't surprise
Down
me.
in a hail.
And he controls the weather.
Yeah, Colorado's bipolar. I was actually going up
Yeah.
from, like, my sisters live in the Estes Park, Fort Collins area, and I was riding up to like Trail Ridge and all that at the top. And you leave on, in Fort Collins, Loveland, beautiful, right?
Yep.
I got up and I almost did a one-way skydive. I was coming around a corner that I usually rip around about 11,000 feet or so. And I went to hang sideways and there's a truck going slow and I'm cussing, Well, I realized why he was going slow is there was a rock that cast a shadow across this one area, this hairpin. And if I would have gone around there sideways, I would have been right over the edge because there was frost that hadn't melted yet on the road. And I was like,
Yep.
oh, that was not good.
You should definitely do Pikes Peak then.
yeah.
well,
yeah.
I'm going to help you out because we do a thing, us Misfits, called unsolicited advice. But more
My mom
so,
tell you to say something.
no, more so than that. I'm going to help out all the Misfits and maybe the listeners themselves too. Here's the deal.
Oh, you should.
You acts have inspired me.
Oh,
I want
God.
to set a record too.
Oh, God.
And I looked up some records
Yeah.
that I think are doable. Now, we covered this like a year or two ago. We covered this, but I'm going to recap some of these records. And I'm going to see, because some of these seem very well suited to some of our Misfits. And Axe, if you want to take one of these, claim it. I'm going to start with this first one, which might be very well suited for Bagel.
Hmm.
And this one is the furthest distance to ride a 49cc scooter.
Oh, man.
What
Are
if
those
you
right?
That's painful.
And Lloyd Wema rode a 49cc Verona scooter from Portland, Oregon
Of course.
to Los Angeles, California, a total of 1,177 miles. Now,
What?
we know that there has
Oh, no.
other people
Wow.
who've broken. Wandering Tyson,
Oh, yeah.
there's a lot of people.
No,
This
I
is
have
listed
friends-
as a record.
That's
So
not a record.
I don't know if that was...
That's not a record because I have friends who rode the Scooter Cannonball Run in 2012, 3,600 miles.
It
But
goes
here's
good.
why.
Burn that
But
color
But
down.
were they may not have been official.
All right.
Well, they may not have applied for this one.
This
but-
is what I'm saying.
right.
These are records I think we have a shot at.
So we just got to do
So-
it on the books.
You got to do it on the books. Bagel,
Okay, very
furthest distance to ride a 49cc scooter.
Very good.
Bagel, I think you
That
should
sounds
go for it.
that sounds really painful to me. I wouldn't even want to do that.
No, you could do
It's-
it, darling. You could do it on a C3. Do it on a C3.
You
It's
just
got
need
that big
fine
seat.
sheepskin.
Well, that is the one that did it across country in 2012, so or 2010 actually. I should say.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
approval.
Okay. This one I thought is suitable for Emma.
Oh, good. Does it involve? Does it involve gin and Indian food, darling?
No, but
And
it
an Indian
involves church.
God,
I'm
All
on.
what you do with it.
I'm
so
on
hurt
the.
hearing that. Ah.
I'm on the Bombay Sapphire and Vindaloo diet, darling.
Did you run out of pine sol?
Emma,
Tanqueray and
darling.
Pika.
this one involves church.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I'm all ears.
Okay. This one is most church employees being pulled in office chairs behind a motorcycle being driven by a pastor wearing a cape.
Okay.
To be a real pastor.
Several.
And this was in Arvada, Colorado in 2013. Justin Bullis wore a cape and drove a motorcycle while pulling a chain of 11 church employees sitting in office chairs behind him. They set the record as part of a sermon illustrating the importance of having fun over time in the church.
You could do that at the garage next Sunday with 6-foot ropes and
Yep.
have his ass whooped.
But you need to have church employees and a pastor.
Yeah,
Herein lies the
pastor.
problem.
Yeah, find
Uh,
a real
Emma,
pastor.
You can go online and
Yeah,
get
online
registered to be
deacon.
a pastor.
No, I
Online
already
deacon.
am. No, I'm.
there
I'm
you go.
Axe could
No.
help. South, I mean, come on. You could throw a rock and hit a church.
Yeah.
Exactly.
On the-
Yeah,
on the-
Texas.
I mean, don't. That's bad. But, you know.
do you know do you know that story?
Wait, did you throw a rock at a church?
I won't divulge the whole thing.
No,
Wait, has
this
it
is
been a
not yes
year?
or no bullshit, Axe. You can tell us the story.
It was an ashtray. I fell in a river. I put an ashtray through a stained glass window thinking God will forgive me tomorrow and I'll pay for the window, but I won't freeze to death. The cops did not see my sense of humor. I was facing 1 to 3 years in the state pen of Illinois. And when they had me in the cop shop, naked, under a blanket, handcuffed to the bench because my clothes were wet from falling in a river. And I said, dude, I'm not from Colorado. I don't know this area. He looks at me and he says, boy, you're in Illinois. And I saw the big Illinois flag behind his head. And I looked at him and I go, Illinois? And I said, oh, that's right. My sister's wedding was in Colorado like 2 months ago. This is Illinois. You're right. So that's why I was like, does he know that story? Or was that just a
Nothing
sad
about that
thing?
story makes any sense. Just want you to know.
It wasn't
I
a
love all
church.
of it, though.
It was a cosmetic surgeon's office. It wasn't a church. And God forgives, he didn't.
And I'm worried because I thought I set it up to show that you weren't crazy, but you're not helping your defense right now.
I
No.
just like to live a zestful life.
Emma,
And
what do
no,
you think? 11 church employees. Can you get them?
Easy. However, the one the one limiting factor on this is I do have an outfit that's kind of like pastor cape thing, but it's kind of like a Halloween thing, and you wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want
Slutty
to.
pastor.
Yeah, you wouldn't want it. You wouldn't want people to see it in public, darling.
And remember, this is being driven by a pastor wearing a cape. I have a cape. I own a cape.
The
Yes,
Evel
I
Knievel
can
cape.
help. No, I have another cape. My superhero cape, of course.
Oh, okay.
Now,
You
if
okay?
that one is a little too complicated because the whole pastor thing, there's the other one is just longest office chair train pulled by a motorcycle. And this was set in 2016 in the Netherlands. 22 students in Netherlands formed a train of office chairs and were pulled down the street behind a motorcycle. You guys,
Oh, that's the
Why?
easiest thing in the world. I
we
mean,
can do this.
They didn't even break 50 miles an hour doing that.
And
Did they?
guess what?
Couldn't, right?
I do have an Evel Knievel office chair.
I have an ass. I
It's true.
volunteer.
Dude, so we could totally do that.
Wow.
All right, here's one that maybe could be up Axe's alley. This one is longest time to keep 4 running motorcycles stopped with your arms and legs. Let me explain. There's video of it. This guy in India, a Monty-Star stopped 4 running motorcycles using only his arms and legs and kept the engines restrained for 10.19 seconds. Warning, this record can be extremely dangerous. Please do not attempt this record unless you are above the age of 18 and trained as a professional stuntman. He lay down on the ground. They tied motorcycles to each of his limbs and they all lit up their tires at the same time, lifting him up off the ground like that.
Like a rack.
Like a rack torture device.
No.
And he held it for 10.19 seconds.
While they're doing burnouts the whole time?
Yes.
Isn't that how they like quartered
Yes.
people in like Roman?
So
Yes.
they used horses back then.
I'm saying
Come
this
on.
is doable. You think
Oh,
you can go
geez.
for 10.2 seconds? You could have another world record.
How
That's
big is the
interesting.
engine?
Yeah. Like, is it
Let me tell you.
Is it a 49
this
cc
this
record?
Indian dude was not a big
Like it
dude.
was-
I'm saying. He's a little
Right, but how big was the
Yeah.
engine? Because there's a big difference between a 100cc bike and a 1000cc bike.
Yeah, there
How
sure
once
is.
you get him spinning?
Well, still, even so, that's
More
I'm
a
just
lot of
saying.
friction.
Some pull.
Yeah.
And Emma, there's another one for you. If you like the sound of that one, but you don't want to be drawn and quartered.
Yes.
This one is longest time to keep 2 running motorcycles stopped with just your arms for a female. And this was in 2012 in Wilmington, North Carolina. Julie Moody stopped 2 running 1,500cc motorcycles using only her arms and kept the engine stopped for 1 minute and 23.53 seconds.
Julie, you're going down.
Ah, there you go. There you go.
Wow.
She literally just was between the 2 ropes holding with just her arms. I think she had it hooked in her elbow
Yeah.
and held these 1,500cc bikes.
Man.
I could see Emma doing that. She just go.
This reminds me of like, do you get like, I feel like I'm the only one old enough half the time to remember this, but like, what was the Incredible People or Real People or
Yeah,
something?
Real-
Those
yeah,
shows
yeah.
where they like
That's
hold
incredible.
a plane with their teeth or something.
That's
Right.
incredible.
yeah,
Yes.
that was what, yeah.
Well, and there's one that maybe I could do. Well, here's the thing. And this one is held by a friend of mine. In 2017 in Volcan Ojos del Salado, Chile, Mita Mera rode her motorcycle to reach an altitude of 5,918 meters, which is 19,416 feet in Volcan
Wow.
Ojos del Salado, Chile.
Wow.
She rode the Road of Bones.
Road of
And
Bones,
so it's the
huh?
highest elevation that a woman has ridden. So
Huh.
here's where I think I might have a shot at this. I think it's all in the title. Highest altitude reached riding a motorcycle. High. They don't define is high mean feet or does high mean how much pot you smoked. So I'm wondering if I rode
lie
up to the
yourself.
summit here
God.
on 17 and got just smoked out and was able to ride back over the hill, would that qualify?
I would
Wait.
not recommend that, Liza.
No?
Is there
Seems like a great idea.
Because one time I've definitely ridden from Seattle to Seaside and tried to,
I'm probably not a good candidate for this. I had my last toke of pot was in 1993 and I made me feel weird.
Yeah, but you know what? 420's coming, darling.
This is true.
Just around the corner.
If
So
only you were somewhere it was legal.
what do you guys think? Are you guys motivated? Y'all want to take one of these records and go for it?
Oh, I'll do them all. I'll do them all next Sunday. I don't care. Every single one.
Drag a bunch of office chairs high as shit.
How many
I-
pastors and office chairs at 20,000 feet?
Done. I still have a house deep in East Texas. Let's meet there, Axe. Let's go.
Max, I would start working on what kind of knots work best around your ankles.
Yeah,
Yes.
that drawn and quartered seems like the caveman. I can do this out of brute stubbornness.
Man.
I got some friends to call if we need knots to tie people up with. Just saying.
I don't know. I thought it was cool, but I did want to let people know. Go check out Axe's film and go see what he did. I mean, it was a while ago, but because it's taken you so long through your journey to get everything done. I mean, do the soundtrack, the film, the book, everything. That's pretty amazing. And you mentioned that you had your first book. Can you give us a little plug for that?
Yeah, the first book was called Bouncing Off Guardrails, and it was done because my cousin Bruce, as I mentioned, we growing up were a little bit destructive, and my cousin Bruce woke up in the middle of a bridge with both of his doors off of his Chevelle because he passed out driving and it tore both doors off. And so I kind of joked about him about the lifestyle of bouncing off guardrails, where you're always finding your limits by hitting something, and that's kind of been my life, right? That's how you find your limits. So I started writing it a week before my open heart surgery because I suddenly realized, like, I'm 34, I may be dead in a week, and this was a lot to try to wrap my head around. So I started just writing notes for myself. And I kept these notes over the next year through the surgery and the recovery and everything. And a year later, I thought, look at some of the people out there that people watch and pay attention to in the world that are just horrible examples of humanity. And, I've learned so much going through this experience, and my life is so much better about stress management and being healthy and thinking about what's important. What if I could cascade that onto somebody else, and someone else can learn how to, make their lives better too? So I released the book. It's very raw. It's definitely not even as polished as No Limits, No Regrets is. It was something my mom was completely horrified when she read, plain and simple. She was a secretary for the church, growing up all through childhood. And I said, Mom, it's just like confession. I said what I did wrong. I tried to move on better and set a good example. And man, she was not happy, but whatever.
Wait, you said your mom worked for the church?
My mom worked for the church, but she's not a pastor. She can't, and she's retired.
But she's still around? Yes, church employee. She can sit in one of the chairs.
You got her number, right?
Yeah.
Does she have a good grip?
So,
she's not real supportive of my nonsense.
Yeah. So, I have two questions for you, Axe. I have two questions for you, dear. It's just, you and the Misfits right now, and probably 2,000 listeners, and all over the world.
A lot more than that.
What is the one thing you would like our listeners to know about you before they see the video, before they buy the book, before anything? What is the one thing? And I know that's a tough question, but you can handle it.
I think the honest answer would not be so much as what is something about myself, but I would rather say the one thing I would want to convey is to make the most out of life, because it goes fast, and you have to just get out there and live it.
Right.
Don't be afraid of it. You got to respect stuff, but just go out and live it. And it's not so much, it's a hard thing that I've tried to wrap my head around, because being the best in the world at something is great. Right. But like when I was telling a waitress at a bar one time with my buddy about it, he's like, dude, you got to be more Hollywood about it. You got to be more, like, this is a big deal. And, I grew up in the Midwest, just humble, like, yeah, we did it because we did the best we could with what we got,
Right. And that's the Midwestern way.
And it's hard to just be like, look at me. And I know it's part of modern business and all that. But if I can leave one thing in the world, it's like, if I can inspire people to go out and live life more and go buy that bike that, and do something, and or pick up skydiving, whatever it is, and just, rip through life having fun. That's the main message.
You heard it right here. Life is short, buy the bike. The second question. Now, over the years, we've had thousands of guests on Misfits, and we loved every single one of them. I've particularly enjoyed this interview. I think you're just great.
Thank you. You should see me drunk. I'm a lot funnier. I hear I'm a riot.
However, everyone gets asked the same question at the end.
I didn't prepare him. You're going for it. All right.
I'm gonna go for it.
You're getting the question, dude.
Yeah.
So the question, and I should explain it first. I mean, we all have dream bikes. We've all had bikes that we aspire to own. We all have bikes that are hopelessly unattainable. Liza's is that Harley Davidson VR 1000. Mine is a 750 Benelli 6. You know, they've all been across the boards.
Yeah.
However, there's the one bike. And when you see that bike, you go, oh, I'd take it up the butt for that bike.
Well,
so
there's nothing I want that bad.
No, come on now.
Everybody has an up the butt bike.
Everybody
has an
what is your up the butt?
I just
what
don't know
is
if I
your
can.
It's a bike you come on.
unattainable dream? And I apologize in advance. I know it's an appalling question, but just focus on the bike as opposed to the means of getting the bike. Focus on the bike.
I mean, you just sent me into like a British prison with your accent and that whole question. You know, there
don't
was
drop the T.
Don't drop the T.
Yes. Don't bend over for the soap, darling.
Spilling my Jaguar.
No, and she's right. And everybody kind of has like that dream bike, you know, if you could have any bike in the world for free, but when you have that little price you have to pay, it's like you really narrow it
Little
down.
price. That's your butt hymen.
Really narrow it down.
That's exit only there. That's the reason I stayed out of prison.
And I will say this can be a fictional bike. It can be a historical bike. It can be any bike in the world.
But let's phrase it: money, no object.
Yeah, money, no object type thing.
Attainable, no object.
Ooh,
what bike
wait, hold
would
on.
you choose?
Hold on. I bet you I got one. Come on. Would you take the Easy Rider Peter Fonda bike?
That is a classic without a doubt.
That's an up the butt bike, right?
No, it's not an up the butt.
Yes, it is.
Damn, nothing is an up the butt bike. Like that just
that's an up the butt bike.
No. I live in San Antonio, not Austin. No.
Okay.
What if
but as
we
far as
put a 20-gallon tank on that bike and gave you 36 hours?
I think it's a dream bike though, like one that, like, I feel very fortunate that I've always been able to, if I want something, I just go get it. And right now I've made that BMW what I want. I have an Aprilia RSV4. I built the chopper that I wanted. Right. And so I feel weird even wishing I had something more than I have, because that's part of, like, that's against my principles. Right. But there is, like, what was the one that had the jet engine bike, like Jay Leno
Y2K.
had? Yes. Now I have to admit, not an up the butt bike. Hell
exactly.
No. So you can't even ride it. No.
It's the bike that you probably can't get.
Yeah, exactly. But that's
that
and actually the Harley Davidson Marlboro Man bike. That is a classic looking bike.
I've got a very brief story about the Y2K bike. So back in 2007, there was a very, very swanky show called Legend of the Motorcycle, which was held at the Hilton in Half Moon Bay, California.
I was there too.
And it was really the predator for the Quail. But in a lot of ways, it was even swankier than the Quail. I mean, this was whiskey and cigars. I was there kind of representing the Ace Cafe UK, and I actually rode a Norton Commando from LA up to Half Moon Bay, which is absolutely terrifying. However, so we all crashed at the local Motel 8 because nobody could afford to stay at the Hilton.
Yeah.
And there were 2 Y2K bikes.
Really?
And at 5 o'clock, they fired those gas turbines up, and the whole hotel woke up at 5 a.m. when they spooled up those gas turbines.
Awesome.
And I will never forget it. I was having the most marvelous dream, darling. It was absolutely wonderful. There was gin, there was Indian food, there were handsome men in it. It might have been the best dream I ever had. And the next thing I hear is this fucking gas turbine about 10 feet from my window. And it just got louder and louder, and then the window started rattling. And then I looked out of the window, and all the lights were on in the hotel. Everybody's like, you bastard.
So I got to tell you on that note, I mentioned that Mom is not thrilled about my habits in life. And when I used to have my internship, I stayed back at mom and dad's because it was close to the internships when I was out of school, and I had an old 77 FLH, Harley. And I would, and it was, dad was already at work, mom was laying in bed peacefully. And every morning that summer, I'd back the Harley out. I'd back the pipes right up in the grass up to her window where she was sleeping sound. With the straight pipes and blast her out of bed. And every night I'd come home and she's like, I'm awake. I don't need you to let me know you're leaving. Took a lot of pride in that.
It's funny you should mention that. I have this like secret little Emma love affair with AMF Harleys. I love them.
It was like a girlfriend you buy diamonds for that fucks the neighbor. I bought that thing the best of everything.
I prefer a lifestyle motorcycle.
What's that?
Okay. I prefer lifestyle bike, but diamonds and neighbors. That's true.
Yeah, I would get so frustrated because every time something broke, I would get the best of the best for it. I never cheaped out on stuff. I wasn't a tight ass with it. And that thing, when I did sell it after 9.5 years, it was the longest relationship of my life until that BMW, actually.
Right.
And every time, rebuild the engine, use good parts, make sure and it just, here again,
she'll let
something
you
else.
Down. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the first ride I had we just got it running.
You've never owned a Jaguar, have you?
No, my dad did though. The style is great, but man, reliability, they put AMF.
They are the absolute love of my life. Aside from motorbikes, they are the absolute love of my life. But they have put me in an asylum more than once.
Yeah, they do. And that Harley, Dad and I, he helped me build it, right? And we just got it running. And I had hernia surgery the first time at age 21. And they said, you can't even drive a car for 2 weeks, right? And I saw him sitting there and it started, and I was like, oh, my buddy calls me, he goes, dude, Metallica's showing in Des Moines. Come on down. I'm like, fuck yeah. I hopped on that Harley. Oh, no. I still got 13 staples in my crotch looking like Frankencrotch. And I rode that bike down. It died in Ames, and I had to push it a couple blocks and pay a service station to charge the battery because it had one of those SU carbs, the Skinner Union carbs.
Right.
Wasn't tuned right. We just rebuilt it. And I fought with that thing. I rode home from Des Moines 2.5, 3 hours in the 3 a.m. after too much beer, holding, just trying to protect myself at a Metallica show. And raining like hell, raccoon jumping out in front of me. You remember those big old blinker bars they had back there?
Yes.
Tin screws. Well, one of them vibrated loose and the other one drug right across my nice new candy apple paint. Vibrated and went flying in the ditch on the way home. And I heard a tink, 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 tink. And I was like, well, I'm not pulling over because it probably won't start out here, the way that stupid carb is tuned. But oh well, you live and learn.
But you know what? If you're riding a 77 FLH at 21, that makes you pretty cool.
I thought so.
Yeah. No, I think that actually does.
God. Well, hey, Axe, I wanted to thank you for coming on and sharing your story. That really is incredible. But not just the thing that you did, but the whole story and how it's all just how you kind of went off on this trajectory. And it's a pretty cool story. So congratulations.
Congratulations, Axe. And, and I don't say these things lightly. This has actually been one of my favorite interviews for many, many, many weeks. And that's not diminishing anybody else who's been on the show. I love you all. But you're a really, really cool guy.
Hold on. Hello? Yeah. Oh, Mert, you have a message for Emma, you say?
Oh, shit. Oh, it's Mert.
Oh, no. Broken. He's broken.
Oh, Lord, I'm sorry, darling.
Yes, Mr. Buell, Emma's here. Yeah. You heard it too?
Oh, God.
I'm sorry.
I've upset Eric Buell. I've upset Eric. Oh, I'm for it now.
LTM's getting a spanking.
Gosh. Crazy.
It's been great. I really appreciate you guys having me on and hearing the story and stuff. This has been a lot of fun. So.
Well, hopefully, we'll get some people to buy your book. we'll get some people to download your video and watch it. I'm really going to look forward to it. I think
Awesome.
it's
I
going to
hope
be
you guys
great.
enjoy it.
And carry on what you're doing.
Great. I sure will. And actually, I just got accepted Friday. I know, Liza, you'd mentioned the Santa Cruz Moto Film Fest. I got accepted to the LA Motion Picture Film Fest Friday. So I can put my little laurels or whatever they're called in the corner there. And so, but yeah, I submitted to the Santa Cruz one as well. So that should be all in there too. So
congratulations on all that. And if you do have any interest in trying to go for that record, I'd be more than happy to ride one of the bikes. I will. I'd like to choose left leg, please. I'll take left leg.
Can I give Axe one really bad joke I heard before he gets off?
Hell yeah, you can.
Okay.
I like you, man. So we've got a couple Patreon listeners, Lefty and Red, that came by and visited me at work the other day, and I forgot to tell them this joke. So I think it'd be a good time to throw it out there. You've got the Harley problem disease like I do. We're not smart. We just like Harleys. So, COVID's going on. It's super gnarly, right?
Yep.
But the good news is I heard that Harley cured COVID. Did you hear about that?
No, I'm trying
They
to
gave it a part number, and now nobody can ever get it. I thought you'd like that one.
That is good, actually. Yeah, it's pretty
From
good.
the friendly parts counter.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Axe. We'll let you go, but just remember, everyone, you can go to Y-Chrome. I assume that's short for Y chromosome.
That is.
Yes, ychrome.com. And also, I'm also going to take a guess. Is Axe have anything to do with guitars?
Yes, actually.
Yes, boom.
Yep. In college, we started realizing that nicknames were probably better, and we just kind of throw names out. And since I was waking the floor up with Danzig Mother on the guitar too often,
I love this guy.
Love it. Hey, it's just a good thing you didn't play the piccolo.
no piccolo.
Piccolo. I don't know.
I know. It just wouldn't work.
Wouldn't fit.
Cool. Thanks for joining us. And everyone go out there and check out his movie. It's a great story.
Great. Thanks so much, guys.
Right.
Great talking to you.
Thanks,
Take care.
Good night.
Ciao, darling.
Bye.
You guys, that is so crazy. So I've got some news to cover real quick and a couple of emails to do.
Oh, good.
He was a fun guy, huh?
No, was he neat? Yeah. That
What
was
a
a great
story.
interview.
I want to go ride very
That
far.
was great.
Okay, couple announcements. First of all, Quail Motorcycle Gathering has been canceled.
Oh, boo.
In May. Boo.
Not a surprise.
Yeah, due to COVID. And my guess is that it's because so many people travel to this event internationally as well.
Yes,
This is an international event. And just because of COVID and travel restrictions and all the things, it's been canceled. So bummer. But one thing that hasn't been canceled, and I want to make sure for any of the ladies listening out there who are looking for a true adventure, Chickistan is happening in September. I'll be leading a group of women on a tour of Pakistan, and it's going to be a pretty awesome tour. We've already got half the spots filled. We got 6 spots left. So if you are interested, you can send an email, recyclemotorcyclegarage@gmail.com, or you can go to a differentagenda.com to Moines site, and under tours, you'll see Chickistan and get some more info there. We are making arrangements to be able to get tested over in Pakistan. So even if you haven't been able to get the vaccine, as long as you are tested before you get on the flight, and then we're tested before we get on the return flight, and once we're there, as Bagel can say, I mean, you're up in the mountains. We do run into people, but it's remote locations. The odds of COVID spreading up there is pretty slim. So it's probably a lot safer than anywhere here in the country.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of guests in the hotels. And
we're usually the only guests in the hotels.
yeah. As long as you don't go to, the markets and things, you can stay pretty isolated.
Yeah, exactly. So, Chickistan, come join us.
A brief announcement from me while we're on the subject of events. the Quail is cancelled in May, but I tell you what is going on in May,
Ooh.
the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. They've
Ah.
moved it from
Oh.
end of September to May.
Oh, really?
Now, it's still going on even in COVID because it is a social distancing event. It's open to girls too. And our very, very dear friend Mike joined me
Mhm.
last September. So if any listeners are in the Abyss of San Luis area in May and want to see me ride a purple Trident side saddle in a cocktail dress,
Ooh.
that will be the opportunity to do it. And it's for, it's charitable ride for men's health, and generally men need health. So
helps.
we support the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. Only thing to remember is if you have a sport bike or an enduro or something like that, you really can't ride it. It's for mostly cafe racers and kind of standard classic bikes. And I think scooters.
Yes,
You can
scooters are allowed.
You can ride a scooter.
Yep.
Step through in your slacks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Emma, you got to help me
should
get the KZ running good then.
Yeah, we'll get the
Yeah.
KZ running good.
Now,
And you
should,
may join me.
now should they maybe call it the Distance Gentleman's Ride?
I think they could.
You know?
Oh.
I think they
Oh,
could.
that's like 3 birds with 1 scooter ride.
But I enjoy going down to San Luis Obispo, not least, the weather's always great, the scenery's always great, the company's always great.
The riding's always great.
Yeah,
the
it's a good.
burritos are great.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, and they've got the Firestone burger joint, which does
Yep.
the best French fries in the world.
Ooh.
Whoa, that's bold.
Mm.
I might
No.
have to come with you.
Yeah.
So, hey, you guys want to help some people who have questions via email?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm split here. All right. So Rick and Bagel want to help.
Give
Emma
us
says,
the
"Fuck
teams,
off."
piss in the air box. Good night.
Yes,
Pretty much,
it's
pretty
worth
much.
$300, and I'm doing you a favor.
Pretty much. So this one is from Tyler in Nebraska.
Hey, Tyler.
Tyler says, "Hey, Liza, Miss Emma, and the gang. First and foremost, I love your podcast. Thank you. I first got into motorcycles about 3 years ago when I was gifted a Honda Pacific Coast 800 for my birthday.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Emma loves them. Since then, I have upgraded to a 1983 Yamaha Venture Royale. My question is, what motorcycle would you guys recommend to someone who is looking to get more into wrenching and customizing? I hope you guys are staying healthy. Thank you. We are.
Yeah,
Can I
Yeah.
do my
do it.
input first?
Yeah, do it.
So you said wrenching and customizing, which are two different things.
Yes.
And I just want to share my basic rule. Getting into wrenching, any bike, you can get into wrenching. Any bike. But customizing, I know I can't stop people, but my rule is don't make something worth less by customizing it. Meaning many stock bikes are worth more in the stock configuration. But then there are other bikes that have no value in the stock configuration, like a CM400 as opposed to a CB400. A CB400, I hate seeing those chopped up. A CM400, chop away,
Have at it.
right? So that's my rule. Emma, Bagel, Rick, you guys might have a different rule. That's my rule. Is just know before you chop something up if it's worth more stock than chopped. That said, what do you guys think?
I would say also for your first restoration, get into something that uses standard American or metric fasteners.
Oh,
Yes.
not like
Yeah.
Whitworth, Triumph,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Something that has easy parts availability. Just because, if you're trying to chase down parts for something that's old and rare, you're going to have a real difficult time, and it's going to take a while and probably cost you a lot of money. Go for something that's fairly common, fairly simple and straightforward. And then if you choose a smaller bike, it's going to be a little bit easier of a lift for your first restoration project. So try to keep it simple is my advice.
I like that.
No, I think so. And I mean, there's nothing really simple about a Royale. Now, I will give bonus points to any misfit that can tell me, and it's not exactly the same, but it's close enough. What other Yamaha shares the same engine as the Royale?
So that's a 1300 cc.
Would that be the Virago?
No.
No.
Not V-Star stuff.
It's not any of the.
No, you got to go back. This is an
It wouldn't be
80s
any of the
bike.
stars.
83.
A 1300.
I don't know any other Yamahas from '83.
You're focusing on the wrong thing, Liza.
FJR.
No,
Okay.
VMAX.
Vic? Oh.
VMAX. There
Oh,
you go.
really?
So VMAX, now we all know that the VMAX is slightly smaller because it's shorter stroke, but it's basically that same V4 platform. And a lot of the manufacturers back then were flirting with the V4 thing. We know about the Honda Magna and the Honda. Oh God, my brain's gone.
Not the Shadow of the Spirits. Any of those? No.
No, those are V twins.
Okay.
Sabre, the Sabre
yeah,
and the
V45.
V4s,
Yeah.
and then even Suzuki, they did the Madura, which was a V4. So yeah, they messed around with that platform a while.
I'll even narrow it down even more. So again, the bikes that I think are the best candidates, because even if you mess it up, no one's going to cry over it. An 80s or 90s cruiser.
Yeah, there you go.
A
Good place as any to
Shadow 500, an LTD 440. Any of these, they really don't have a lot of value. They're easy to cut up, but they are bulletproof bikes. The
But getting
engines are
parts-
solid, and getting parts
nailed
is
it.
so easy.
My favorite, the Vulcan 500. The
Yeah.
Vulcan 500. And the reason I like the Vulcan 500, it's got a Ninja engine in it. Things are fast as fury. You can do like 105 miles an hour on a cruiser.
Sure.
So that's my recommendation, and you can find them so
You
cheap.
find them cheap.
So cheap. Like I said, Honda CM400. We've cut a bunch of those up here. I would say if you had to pick one, a Shadow, 500 or 750. They're so common, so easy to find, and they're fun to bob or do it. I mean, you can do anything with them, but they're good engines. You guys agree with that one?
I agree with that one.
There you go.
Sounds good.
So I hope that helps, Tyler. Next question. This one is from James in Missouri.
Hey, James.
Says, greetings, Misfits.
That's Montana, isn't it?
Missouri?
Oh, it's Missouri. No? I thought you said Missoula.
No, it's Missouri, but they say Missouri.
Oh, I thought you said Missoula.
No, Missouri. He says, greetings, Misfits. There was so much temperature talk in your last podcast. It made me wonder what the coldest temperature is that you would voluntarily ride in without heated gear, but being able to bundle up for warmth as much as possible. Mine is 40 degrees when it's dry. I'm able to get enough insulated gear on where I can be comfortable for a couple of hours at highway speeds. Also, has that temperature changed from when you lived in colder climates? On that note, is there gear that you will not go without for an expected cold ride? And if so, what is it? Cheers from Nixon, Missouri.
I won't ride below 72 degrees because I'm getting old. And
Because your nipples scratch the tank.
Well, it's funny. My riding gear that I'm never without is my Merkin.
Oh my!
It's just a byproduct of craft. It's fine.
Rick, what's the coldest weather you've ever ridden in?
My Harley experience dragged me to East Texas and Tennessee, and being a California dude, I was not prepared for that riding. That's real cold. And there's this really cool wind chill chart. Have you guys ever seen that one online?
Yeah.
That says like if it's X and you're going Y,
Yeah.
your balls freeze, whatever. I remember riding to the Harley dealership like what was it, like 20 miles? And I think I took off one morning. It was 28 in the morning.
Oh, yes.
No, thank you. I probably won't be doing that again.
I did that on the Wur ride.
Man.
Yeah.
It was not fun, was it?
Yeah.
Well, this past week, I rode out to my girlfriend's house because it was a nice day out, and I thought it was be a great chance to take the bike out because it actually stopped raining here in Oregon.
Yeah.
Well, it was great when I rode there. When I rode home at 11:30 at night, it dropped down to 37 degrees.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cold as hell. I did have my scooter skirt, thankfully, but I was pretty frosty when I got home. And I have ridden in snow before. I had to ride my Heinkel home from work one day when it started snowing from work, so it was definitely below 32. And I made it all the way home and through the snow on the roads, right? Like super slippery. Made it like 2.5 miles home. Turned onto my street, and I was so stoked that I didn't go down that I gassed it right as I was in the turn. The rear wheel spun out, and I just went plop at 5 miles an hour.
Right on the way home. Home stretch. Slid into the
right on my turning onto my street.
So I have ridden in cold weather, but something you need to know about us. So we are Californians. That means when it drops below 52, the temperature is called fucking freezing. That's what we call it. It's fucking freezing, which is why we all have heated grips in case it does get into the 50s, because that's when we turn on our heated grips. That said, I do actually have some good advice. We have a thing here. We call it the bubble. Rick, you don't know what the bubble is, do you?
No, but it sounds exciting and
Pretty
hypersexual.
No. So we have a thing here called the bubble. It's in the donation room. Somebody donated it, and it's been something that people have used over and over. What it is, it's a snowmobile suit. It's a big, giant one-piece snowmobile suit.
The starfish.
Yes. And when you put that thing on, you feel like you're in a bubble of warmth. You can go riding in any weather. It doesn't matter how cold. You don't feel it. You feel like you're in a bubble, which is really great.
I might need to get one of those.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's just a big, giant one piece. People, when the temperature drops, people have borrowed it to ride home in it. So I'll tell you though. So James, you asked what is some go-to gear, and I'll tell you what my go-to gear is, and I've talked about it over and over, and that is a windbreaker. So I have a windbreaker that I can put on over my jacket, under my jacket. It's also a waterproof windbreaker. Cutting the wind is the biggest thing. When I used to ride in Boston in snow and cold days.
In Boston.
So my trick, what I did was I wore thermal underwear under my jeans. And then I had sweatpants and windbreaker pants kind of in what sweatpants were in there that I would pull on over my jeans and thermals. And same thing with my top. I had a jacket and a windbreaker over it that once you put that windbreaker layer on the outside, it didn't matter what the temperature was. I was solid. The thing that was hard was your hands. The hands get cold.
Yeah.
Also it sucked that I had a halfy helmet that first winter in Boston. That really sucked. But cutting the wind out is really the biggest trick. And a windbreaker is so small, and even wind pants that I still keep, that you can roll up so small you can keep it shoved under your seat.
Yep.
And that makes the most significant difference, I find. When we did the Where We're ride, we were going through freezing weather, rain, snow, all of that. And again, the hardest part were gloves, but wearing that windbreaker that I had over my big coat, over everything else that I brought with me, all the layers, I looked like the kid from Christmas Story. I can't put my arms down. But it worked, you know. The thing is, your hands and your feet are the things you really have to worry about. They're the things that are most exposed.
That was a big one.
So
yeah,
electric heat is your friend. And they have you can get electric insoles, you can get electric gloves, you can get electric grips, whatever. I highly recommend that, because that's what you really need to worry about is your hands and your feet. That's the most at risk. Yeah. So let electricity take care of that. But the rest, you can wear plenty of layers and get a good windbreaker. All right. I think that's it. I'm going to save this one for next week. I think that's it. We had a good day in the garage. We helped another young man with tires and chains and sprockets again. And good thing he bought the wrong chain, but we went into our drawer of things left behind and we had the right chain in there. So that was good. I always like that, hanging on to all these rando things, and you never know.
Right.
And then it was missing the master clip, but digging around in the drawer, we found an old
There you go.
rusty master link. It worked.
Hey,
Keep those things. That's the lesson.
Exactly. Keep everything.
Keep everything.
Every piece of paper, every wrapper, keep it all. It doesn't matter if you're swimming with trash. Just keep it all. What could possibly go wrong?
There you go. And we've got Josh coming next week. We've got another opening next week. I might have somebody filling that. But I think it's been good just doing these appointments and giving people really good one-on-one time.
Right, exactly. Because people are still using their bikes and people still need the Misfits and the Misfits advice. But we simply can't approach it yet like we used to with 10, 20 bikes out there. So the Misfits looks, the Recycle Garage looks very different, but we're doing the same thing. We're keeping bikes on the road with maximum effort and minimum expenditure. How about that?
Well, hopefully Bagel can make a visit to Recycle Snohomish and go check that out.
I'd love to. Once the weather gets a little better. Yeah.
What do you mean? You can go do it now.
It's a little
Just
chilly right now.
wear more layers. We just covered that, Bagel.
Yeah, just don't leave your old lady's house at 11 o'clock at night and then go there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So no, I've got to ask Bagel, and it's just us now, darling. It's just us.
Yes.
How is
Yes.
the relationship going, darling?
Oh, it is wonderful.
Oh,
Absolutely
look at
wonderful.
you with a glow about you. Look at you.
Yes.
You're like a new man, darling.
Yes, we've fallen madly in love with each other.
Oh,
Aw.
Radiant Bagel.
Yes.
that warms the cockles of my heart, darling.
Mine too.
And
Oh.
what kind of scooter does she ride?
She doesn't ride a scooter. She's
What?
never ridden a
Dump
scooter.
her right now. Unacceptable.
No. We'll work on that. We'll see.
Okay.
Hey, it's a good thing you know a guy with a couple of scooters behind him.
Mm-hmm. I've got extras.
Well, I think it's just that time to thank everyone. Thank you to everyone who's stuck with us this far. Thank you to everyone sending in these emails. Keep them coming. Oh, I forgot.
Oh,
There's one other thing. Oh, dang
Oh.
it. I don't have enough time to do this.
what?
I have an ask. That ask is, please, do you mind going on? What do they call iTunes now? It's no longer iTunes. Apple Podcasts? Is that what it's called?
Mm.
Whatever iTunes is called now. And if
Yeah.
you could please give us a review.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. We need some reviews on there. It's been a while since we've asked for that, but we can use it. And I'll tell you why. We had a review as of lately, and it wasn't so good.
What?
Am I in trouble?
No, you're not. Hold on. I'm trying to bring it up. Emma, ramble on while I bring it up.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, the thing is, when you're in you do a public show like ours, and you're open to criticism as we are. If you get one bad review, that kind of distills to the top. We don't want to give people the wrong idea. So we're very, very giving people. We're thrilled to put out this show every once in a while. But if you could give us some decent reviews, that would be jolly nice.
Okay, I found it. I'm going to share it because it is kind of funny. And I know that not everybody enjoys the same thing. So some people aren't going to like us. I get it. This one is titled Horrible.
Oh, wow.
Like able to be hoard or
Horrible.
okay.
And this is the review. Absolutely horrible. These people make me want to never ride again. If this is what motorcycles are about, I want nothing to do with it. The hosts are flippant, rude, mean-spirited, and offer nothing. This podcast is just noise. I wouldn't consider these individuals to be motorcyclists, more like wannabe fanboys.
Oh, dear.
Oh, really?
Signed Naked Jim. Is that
No, I think that's from Phil. That Phil?
I haven't seen Mike in a couple weeks.
Did
Do you think he's turned it up?
Did you mean to review the Cleveland Moto podcast? No.
No, I think
God.
that smacks of Uncle Phil.
At first I thought this
No,
must be a
no.
mistake until they referred to the host as flippin'. Went, well, okay.
Well, I
Well,
guess
we
it
are
is.
flipping.
Well, they did listen
You
know-
to us.
We're not everyone's cup of tea, and Emma's more like someone's bucket of gin sometimes. You know?
So it's been a while since I've asked, and if you can please help us out and leave a review. Whatever you want to leave it, that's fine. We're not everyone's cup of tea, but it does help us to have more reviews, and you got to ask for it to get it. I mean, not everyone thinks about it. So that's what our ask is this week, and leave us a review, and hopefully we can get this one pushed further, because right now this one is at the top. It's the first one everyone sees.
Let's wash
I need
that off, guys.
some more reviews.
Yeah.
Push it down. I'm so sorry, and I doubt that person is listening, so I can't apologize. But oh well.
I
So
think
sorry.
you can leave reviews on podcasts.apple.com and do a search for Motorcycles and Misfits.
Thank you very much, Bagel.
Sure.
So and also big thanks to our Patreon subscribers. We love you. We got some new ones this week, so thank you very much for joining. I appreciate it so much. And I think that's it. Axe, what a cool guest.
Yeah, wasn't he
Nice.
great?
What a
Yeah,
cool story.
That's great.
So sorry for his fiance, but sometimes it just takes
Yeah.
some event in your life to get you to push you outside of your comfort zone and to do something extraordinary. And that, I think, you were asking what takeaway people should have. For me, that's it, because I find that everyone who does something extraordinary, they're usually motivated by somebody else, yet then they turn around and motivate the next person. And
Right.
it just proves that anyone can be that person. You
Yes.
just have to do it. And I think that's what his message was. So hopefully people can take from that to just do it.
Yeah.
And if you want
Yeah.
to try and
And-
go for the any of those records, we said back off of the office chair pastor cape wearing one. We're going for it.
And-
Caboose.
Oh, the caboose. That's going to be a hard one.
We're in a fight over the caboose spot, I think.
Dude.
Yeah,
So on
and-
that
and-
note, yes, Bagel, you got last.
I was just gonna say also, I think the message too to reinforce is that life is short, so do it
Ride
while
a
you
bike.
can.
Mhm.
Do it while you can.
And apparently what Axe said, go do things that might shorten your life greatly.
Well, there's that too.
Bounced off the guardrail a couple times.
Bounce off the
But
guardrail.
Just don't let it shorten your life.
Exactly.
Just keep
Right.
it.
All right. So thanks everyone. I think we're ready to get out of here. This is Liza.
Bagel.
Emma, darling.
And I'm Rick.
And we're out of here.
Oh, cool.
Holy shit, I did it right. It's the first time for everything.